liberty, and justice for all.
Thank you. So we'll move right to considerations of agenda additions or deletions, having none tonight. We'll move to 3, invitations to members of the audience to speak to items on the agenda.
I'd like to talk on D, please.
Okay, D on the consent agenda. Okay, moving on, we have no communications and budget presentation.
Sorry, I have to do 2 duties today. I'm playing secretary as well. Okay, alright, so I have the budget in. So might be fine-tuning a little things here and there, but largely I think we're good. Alright, start with the rainy day fund. We have the $1 million in there we put in last year. We haven't spent any, and I don't expect us to spend any between now and the end of the year, so we'll still maintain our $1 million. And I'm looking to transfer $500,000 from the ops fund to rainy day this next year. I was hoping to do the $1 million, but I want to save back some ops for the main gym project.
Understand.
I'm afraid we're gonna run into some issues with that funding. So with the cost of things going up, I know forget what the last estimate we got on the floor was, but
The floor,
was it
I think it was
300?
285.
285, okay.
Mhm.
Sitting around 300, so do keep 200,000 extra out just
For painting.
painting and different
some of
things
those
that may
other
come up and
lighting.
We're hoping lighting we can do through ESSER. I know the plan right now on the lighting in there. So, but anyways, just to make sure we have plenty of money to keep that
Makes sense.
going. So that's why I'm really doing that. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna move on to the debt service fund. So this fund is funded from property taxes. You don't have to worry about hitting any kind of cap on it. It's completely 100% funded. And the tax rate for it was based on 85% of the 2023 assessed value for the county. I do have, in your budget notes on the back, I do have the calculated assessed value for 2024 is $1,223,942,591. So yeah, $1.2 billion in assessed value in our school district. So that's pretty high. That's a 9% increase over last year's assessed value. So, but like I said, I based the rate though for this on 85% of this year's, just to be cautious, very cautious on that. So that brings our tax rate at 0.1146. I expect it to actually be more like 0.08912. Last year we were at 0.1166. So we're actually gonna see a little bit of a decrease in it, and that's because we bumped up and got a little bit of a balance last year into that fund, as we were allowed to do. We can do 15% of our bonds and stuff, so we did bump that up last year to make sure we got that little extra, so we don't quite need as much this year in that, so we'll drop down a little bit. Okay. Alright, and on to the education fund. Alright, so let's see. So this funds all of our all teachers, principals, those kind of administrators. Our special ed co-op bill, our impact and vocational instruction comes out of there, as well as supplies. So that's what comes out of there, and it's funded by the state tuition we get. So we get what was it, $7,097.83 per student this year. So we did see an increase. It's in your notes. It's a 4.95% increase over last year in that fund. And then next year we're only expected to get 1.9% increase. The state sets those. We don't have a choice on those or anything. We also get a little bit of money from some other tax revenues here and there on that. And I am looking to transfer $900,000 from the ed fund to the operations to cover some people who kind of cross both, like Dr. Blaze, the director, like Alexis Grossman, and some other positions too. So I want to talk about go ahead and pull our slide of fun up. All right. So I just wanted to illustrate a little bit when we lose one student. So one student, we get $7,000 for the whole year. This is the whole year for a student. So we got an increase of $334.10 from last year. So that's what our increase is. So when we lose one student, it takes the increase from 21 students that we received from this past year. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah,
I'm
that
trying
makes
to figure
sense.
out how to explain it and articulate that. So yeah, basically, yeah, that cuts pretty deep for us. So in this week, we're down 63 students from this time last year, and so that increases. Yeah, we put on here it takes the increase from 1,339 students to break even. So that's almost our entire student population, minus 100. So I don't know if that, I tried to explain how that worked and what that does to our budget. So that means our increase from last year is not really a whole lot. We're pretty much going to be flatlined. And so I'm a little bit concerned next year for the ed fund just because we're only going to see that 1.9% increase. So if we lose another student, that's even more kids now that have to make up that. Hopefully that makes sense. I was trying to figure out how to illustrate losing one student does, and when we lose 63 students,
This is something that
it's
I
depressing.
think makes sense to the board because we've been battling this for quite some time. So it's a great illustration. Appreciate that.
Yeah, and thanks to Dr. Blaze for helping me.
No problem.
I was like, does this make sense to you?
She was explaining it to me and I'm like, I need a visual.
Yeah, we had a visual, and I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do that.
63 kids, $450,000
Yeah.
roughly.
Yeah.
That's
That's
a big deal.
That's a big deal. Yeah, it is. It really is. So, anyway. All right, I think that's where I'm at on that. All right, and then on to operations. So this one is basically all the rest of the staff. So any non-instructional staff comes out of here. And it's funded, this is our tax levy that we get. The state did give us a 4% increase over last year's operating. So the year before we got 5%, so we got a little bit of a cut on that. That 1%'s a big deal. And then I figured the tax rate again on the 85% of the 2023 assessed value. So that put our tax rate at 0.5372. Last year, or this year, whatever, tax rate was 0.4390. I expect it to actually be 0.4178 when we get our certified net values, because I don't think it's going to go much from what we have on there. So we are going to probably lose about $65,000 in property tax cut, which honestly, that's not much.
basically
But-
staying the same.
Yeah, so it does kind of even out. So, but yeah, so anyway, that's where we're at. And like I said, that's moving that $900,000 to the ed fund as well, or from the ed fund to help offset some of that cost. So, I'm trying to think what else I have for you on that. That's it. Okay, I gotta talk about curricular materials. If you guys all know, obviously we're not paying for textbooks this year. The state thinks the last estimate I got was $151.88 per student is what we're gonna get for curricular materials. So we're gonna be a little bit in the hole on that too. From
With a lot of districts.
yeah, not just us, but even top to bottom, we're gonna be in a little bit of a hole. And I think we were off about $7, was it? $7 or $8?
For elementary.
For elementary.
For elementary, our textbook fee was around $158, but it's more than that for many
But
of
then
our
so K through
kids.
6, it's not too bad. But then when you get up to the upper grades where they're taking, all those heavy,
Project Lead the Ways and.
Project Lead the Ways and all those.
What is our textbook budget normally for the year, or like what do we normally get in from?
Well, normally we don't really get anything for textbooks because was all parent funded. So we had to.
What is it normally like
what did the parents pay in?
Yeah,
Oh gosh,
generally.
off the top of my head, I don't know. Can't tell you. I should have had that number. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
130 or something left.
Different percentages.
Well, I know it's different for every grade, I was just overall for
Overall, like what we
correlation.
would collect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I don't remember.
Okay,
Top of my head.
no worries.
But we did, so, and because of this, now I'm not allowed to do the unreimbursed textbooks back to the taxpayers as well, so I'm losing about $80,000, I do know that number, about $80,000 in unreimbursed textbook money that I'm not getting, so.
well.
Yeah, so we'll have to, try to make adjustments there and see what we can do. Let's see,
80,000?
for unreimbursed textbook, that's what we collected. It was people who were on like free and reduced, so the taxpayers made it the gap between what I would pay versus a free and reduced. It was about $80,000. So we're not getting that money either. So that's, and then ESSER runs out, as we all know, next September. Really, we have to have it encumbered by next September, so we'll just say that I'm basically wrapping that up this next school year. So any money we're trying to spend through this next school year. So that'll make things a little tighter too. So next year's gonna get pretty tight, just giving you a heads up now, since we're losing all these extra funds and things. But I do have, on the plus side of that though, I do have people who are being paid through ESSER. I do have them budgeted in the budget. I am not paying them this year though, out of our budget. I'm paying them out of ESSER to help alleviate some of the budget. So, just make that note. And I was conservative in our overall revenue projections. I do expect still another 500,000 in revenue in the ed fund, but just because of student count and things, I just would rather keep that, low. And then NIPSCO, trying to throw NIPSCO under the bus here, but they did do a 25% rate increase. I had a call last week about that. So 5%. Actually, when he said that, I said 25%, right? He said yes. That's what he called to tell me. So I did budget $600,000 in electric costs for the district next year. I'm hoping some of the upgrades we've done to lighting and stuff will start paying off
Question about solar panels.
and stuff.
Good times.
Should help.
Yeah.
you out.
Yeah. That's what they're looking
Yeah.
little to make sure, a little bit, but yeah. So that's kind of where we're at.
That's a 25% on primary metering customers, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Well, I don't know if your
Yeah, I said-
residential consumers are gonna see that kind of
probably
increase,
not.
probably not.
Probably
They're
not because of the regulatory things,
Yeah.
but yeah, 25%. And are you 25%? Like, did I mishear that?
Wow, okay.
So anyway, that's where we're at. You guys all have same things I have here, and then my notes, so you can peruse those and take it in because it's a lot of numbers. So if you want to look at it and ask, give me a call, ask questions, please feel free to do so. Stop in, whatever. I'm here. I don't mind you asking questions. I'd rather you ask than not know or make assumptions on stuff. So, but things are gonna get a little tight. So, but it's okay. It'll be fine. We'll get there. Okay. Keep doing what we can do. But anyways, that's probably the biggest takeaway I think for me tonight was that number. Just to, let people know what happens when we lose students and how that really kind of. I know people are like, oh, it's just one kid. Well, that one kid's a lot of money. So, yeah. So, do you have any questions right now for me? Or, I know that was a lot. So.
No, I appreciate the breakdown. That was a good way to go through.
Yeah, I appreciate it for sure.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
Plain language, it's good.
Yeah, I try to keep it simple.
Like
Try to keep things
Plain
simple for
language,
everyone
that's
because
right.
it's a lot. It is a lot, but
Thank you for preparing that.
yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. So.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, you're
I'll
welcome.
move right to your report then.
Okay, by the numbers. Our enrollment update, our enrollment as of Monday, we are up 3 students to 1,534 from the last report. In a comparison to the end of year number last year, that's down 32 students, which again, we had projected we would be down 40 to 45 students based on the number of students we graduated compared to the number of kindergartners. So happy number, our kindergarten went up by 5 and we're at 95 in kindergarten, so yay. Also, I wanted to give you a quick update on the Cyber Academy. Mr. Albaugh has reported he has a current enrollment of 35 students. 10 of those are seniors, so we'll have 10 graduates out of our Cyber Academy this year if they do all the right things. We also have 9 students that are either from out of district or are returning from homeschool. So that's a good thing to have. And then just to let you know that Mr. Albaugh is also supervising 24 students through the junior senior high and doing some credit recovery work through Apex. So he is helping with that endeavor also. And that, I believe, is all I have to report.
Is that at Lima Brighton or is that at the high school?
So the kids, those kids are at the high school. He's still working out of Lima Brighton, but he just takes care of all their computerized stuff for Apex.
Aaron Meyer used to do that for us out of the media center. Now those kids are traveling with either our ASL program or study hall is where who they're being supervised physically in the building.
Right.
But Bob's the one clicking the buttons for them, opening things, not clicking buttons for them.
Making sure they can click buttons
Yes,
and earn credits. That's what we're going for.
Alright, thank you. Do you have anything? Do you wanna do this month's treasure report
I
then?
have my treasurer's report
Okay.
in too. Okay. Alright, so as we're at 67% of the year as of August 31st, when we have collected year to date in the ed fund $9,357,000, 483. I totally screwed that up. Wow, I looked at too many numbers the last few days. Anyways, so $9.3 million in the
Yeah, but
yeah. We collected $4.2 million. So we've collected 68.97% in the ed fund, 63.9% in the operations fund. So we're doing pretty good right along with the percentage of the year. Spending wise, we are. I'll just look at the percentages. I think that's what I normally do.
Yeah.
All right. We have spent 59.6% of the revenue budget and 53.77% of our approved budget. So we're under on our ed fund right now. And then in operations, we've spent 63.1% of our revenue budget and 58.7% of our approved budget. So we're still under our 67% for the year. So feeling pretty good about that. Let's see. And overall, we're at 57.9% of the revenue budget and 54.6% of the approved budget expended. So I feel like we're in pretty good shape so far on our spending years. Plugging along and trying to keep things running and going, and that has been difficult here and there, but I think we're doing pretty good. So anyway, so
and that's with almost 70% of the year.
yeah. So I think we're in
It's
pretty good
pretty
shape.
good shape.
Yeah, pretty good shape. So
FYI, I do get a call once in a while from Dave Larmer and says, "Have you spent any of my rainy day money?"
no.
Last month he called me and said, "Have you spent any of that rainy day money?"
No, and so when I was going back to the budget a little bit, I was planning on putting $1 million over there and
I
then,
know.
using then some of that money then to do the gym, and I thought, you know what, we'll just keep it in operations.
want
and
to
that's-
Just
keep it in
saw it
operations.
transfer back
and
out.
then-
We
Yeah,
knew
so
he'd
then
call.
playing that game, so
Yeah, I
anyway,
agree.
just alright.
Alright, school board president's report. I don't have a lot tonight. I know I spoke a little bit about, over the last couple months, about, the progress on the bond and how much, kind of taxing that it's been on our employees. I just kinda wanna revisit that again, and I wanna thank, I know some of the schools and departments have maybe been hit harder than others, but it's been a big challenge for all of our departments and employees. I know that especially being the beginning of the school year, it was very challenging for all of the schools and departments. So I want to thank all of you for kind of strapping up your boots and working really hard. I know it's been hard for your staff, and I know it's been hard on you guys. A lot of extra hours, a lot of overtime hours, a lot of phone calls. So we do notice it, and we really appreciate it. I know it's been difficult, and I think we're making progress, and we're getting, you know, we got that chiller going in the junior senior high, and
So well, turn the air down outside too.
yeah. Funny how that works.
It's efficient like that.
So I know we don't have a big crowd here tonight, but those of you that are here, I do appreciate it, and the board appreciates all the hard work. So that's all I have.
Do you wanna talk about the listening tour?
Yes, I wanna give our date, and we preliminary talked about it at the last meeting. It was October, let me pull up my calendar here.
I'm gonna say 14, but that might
Sounds,
be
I have, the board meeting is the 11th, so,
So yeah, the
We-
14th. is what
the
it is.
14th. So October 14th at Wolcott Mills, at 9 a.m. And Jessica, can you be there? Since that is your area. If you can't, this time you can go to another spot.
That might be a college.
Okay.
There'll be three of us.
There'll be three of us,
I
or
think
two
I'm okay with
regardless.
Three, yes.
I think I'm okay.
We'll figure out who's going for sure. But the listening tour will be October 14th at Wolcott Mills at 9 a.m. And I will speak a little bit. We did have our first one at Lima, and we did have 3 people show up. 3 people. So we had good discussion with those 3 that did come. But hopefully maybe we have a little bit more at the next one. So that's all I got, unless you guys can think of something else.
I just added it to our calendar on the website, so it's on
That fast.
Yep.
You were really getting good at that.
there. Got some skills.
Alright, new business, we have no unfinished business, so we'll move right to item number 1, Lakeland vision statement.
So as you recall, we did have a board and administrator workshop at the end of July, beginning of August. We discussed our mission statement, we discussed goals. Basically, we felt our mission statement is good as is, but our vision, we wanted to change a little bit, and so, well, a lot. So what kept coming out of our conversations is that we wanted Lakeland to be a destination corporation for students, staff, and other educational entities. So you may ask, what does that mean? Well, for staff, it means that we provide an environment that encourages growth, that furnishes opportunities and tools to successfully educate our student, and it's a place that people want to work. For our students, it means that we have a safe and supportive environment for them to grow in, and that we provide them with opportunities and collaborations that encourage connections both to our school and to our community. So we want Lakeland to be a place that other schools want to emulate. We want our programs and methods to be ahead of the curve, and we want to be anchored in best practices. So tonight I would just ask that you approve that new vision statement of Lakeland will be a destination corporation for student, staff, and other educational entities.
Entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion, we
Hey,
have a
we'll
second.
Win.
All in favor? Motion carries.
Alright. Go to the next one.
Yep, board policy.
Alright, the next one is the tag grant policy, and we are required to discuss the tag grant policy each year. But this year, it happens that there was actually some updates to it over the summer through the legislature. So just to point those out, the changes, I believe we had to eliminate the mentioning of discussions, as the law changed and discussions is no longer required. There was also a part in there where we could save a certain amount of that to give for the mentors that do the mentoring, but we take that out of a different grant. So our tag grant then, the teacher appreciation grant, we want to all go back to the staff in chunks instead of dividing it up. So this way the whole thing gets divided.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, any further discussion? All in favor? Motion carries.
Alright, so the next is more policies to approve. So this summer they released, new policies or revisions of policies based on what the legislation had passed and what would become active July 1st. So those are the policies that you have before you for approval. Some of them are just semantic changes, changing a shall to a may or a whatever. The library, I think there's one on sexuality that's in there, 2221 adds all the stuff that the legislature passed about notifying parents of their right to see materials prior to instruction on sexuality, and that kind of teaching will not happen outside of grades 4 through 12. There's a policy in there that we didn't currently have, which stated that each building will have a catalog of materials available from the library. So it also talked some about fees, so those are some of the major changes in those policies.
This is a special release of.
Yeah, that's what they call it. I don't know why July is special, but it was special.
Does the policy committee have anything to report?
I like it though, change from kindergarten to 4th grade.
Yes,
Oh, was kindergarten.
Yeah, before it was
it
like,
was a
no
K-12
matter what,
requirement.
any child could do it, yeah.
So, to explain though, when we teach human sexuality in kindergarten through 2nd in the past, it was good touch, bad touch programs and things like that. It's not actual sexuality courses,
Yeah, I like
so
the way it's worded.
it goes age appropriately, let's
Yeah,
say.
it
But,
reads much better.
yeah,
Alright, well, I will entertain a motion here.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Motion carries.
okay. Then,
Eval.
my next item is the 23-24 educator plan. Some of the changes in that is I condensed the history portion of it. We had the history going back to the beginning of time for our education plan and all of the approval dates, and we didn't really need that. So I condensed it down. We also, probably the most significant change in it is because we've made the change to semesters in all of our buildings. In the past, we were doing new teachers, we did 3 long observations and 3 short observations. That works great when you're on trimesters, we're now on semesters. So we moved that to 2 long and 2 short for those employees, but I don't believe we changed any of the other evaluations, so a lot of this is dates. And I added links to rubrics in it because this is one that we submit online.
That all makes sense.
I tried.
Entertain.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Motion carries. Alright, we got Ryan here up next, I believe. Employment of an athletic event supervisor.
Yeah, Christopher Blaze is on there as the person that's I'd like to get approved for that position. He started as the athletic secretary earlier this year, and since then he's kind of been filling this role over the last 4 weeks, and I think it's gone very well. He's doing a good job jumping in as the athletic secretary and learning all that goes along with that, and it's pretty seamless transition from the end of the day into the end of the school day into staying after and setting up for events and things like that. He's been staying about 3 to 4 nights per week, which is kind of what I wanted it to be in the fall season. Because the season is short, there's not as many weeks in length, but there's a lot of events. So it's been very nice to have another person around, just another set of eyes to make sure things are going well, and also another person. We haven't had a lot of nights like this, but we've had a couple where there's been 4, even 5 events on the same night, and it's just really nice to have an extra person around to help set up for the events. So I think it's going well, and it's something we'll continue to improve. I told him to track his hours along with it, so we can kind of get a feel for exactly how many hours this person is contributing, just get a better idea for the pay and things like that for the future. So I think it's been really positive, and he wanted to do it right off the bat in this first season being back at the school, just to, you know, just to be around more and get really familiar with the athletic department and the coaches and be visible. So I think it's been a good thing.
This would be for the fall only though, right?
This would be for the fall. At this point, that is all. Yeah, and I do have other coaches that have already talked to me about being interested in the winter and the spring. So I mean, I haven't tried to lock anything in yet, but I think there's interest in doing that job. So.
Okay. Entertain a motion for 5.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I guess I have a question on this. So I've obviously was switching through like the winter, spring, fall. Do you have processes in place to make it? I mean, I'm sure you do a lot of this just by repetition. Like I go to the football game. This is the steps I'm gonna take. Whether it's middle school, high school, like. Do you have processes in place to make sure it's
Like a checklist
yeah,
or
like
something?
almost like a checklist or
if we're
something that
hosting
because if we're switching, a lot of it you have to reteach money box. You have to reteach a lot of that stuff every season. Like, do you have a checklist or like how is the training process and the onboarding process?
Not for everything yet,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm working on those. I'm
Wow.
working on those.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Because there weren't last
Yeah.
year. I mean,
So,
like you said,
it was you.
just,
Yeah. I mean,
so I just did it.
yeah.
And really for the first week or so, Chris just followed me around.
Yeah.
With pretty much everything. Made sure he's getting all the keys. I mean, even that takes time. So, because there's a lot of keys.
Project
So,
for another day, right?
there's a lot of little things that just come up in doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm working on that. I don't have those done for all the events yet, but that would be a great thing to have in place when the winter season starts.
Yeah, and it's probably something they can almost hope to develop to the first, second week as they do it. Like, oh, I should have done this. It might have gone smoother. Or
Mm-hmm.
something. Yeah, just about.
Especially if that next year comes around and that person's like, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that again.
Why would you say that?
Here's your checklist.
There is a lot.
As a little add-on question, are we gonna start live streaming some of the events again, or is that?
We will.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's coming.
Alright, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, 6. I think you're up again.
Okay. The Alexis Grossman as the concessions manager. So first of all, again, I want to thank the board for approving that position. Over the summer, I do think that that's going to be a really positive thing. It's been nice with Chris starting as a secretary and not having the concessions ordering and that piece of things on his plate. I've been able to train more on things in the office, and that's been a benefit to us, I think. So this position, Alexis approached me right at the start of the year, just a couple days before our first event, and said that she would be willing to do that. And she has, like Chris, she's been filling that position over the last couple of weeks. And my feeling is really positive, and it's getting better every week. It's a new thing, and it's the first time that role has been separated from athletics, in the last 2 years since I've been here. So there's a learning curve of, okay, what exactly is this person's responsibility, and what does athletics still have to do? Because myself or Chris, we're the ones at the events, so there's always something that we're going to have to do with concessions. There's just no way around that. And I feel like it's going really well working with Alexis to figure out, as far as stocking and inventory, what is expected of her, what's expected of us. And because it is a brand new position, yeah, there's a little bit of learning there. But it's getting better. We work very well together. You know her well. She's a very organized person. She does everything 100%. And so I feel really good about having her in that role. Her job is basically, the main thing is the inventory, the ordering, and some stocking. That's kind of split between her and the athletic department. And then she is present at, so far it's just been football games, but that person's supposed to be present at large events where we're gonna have a big crowd and a really busy concession stand. So once we get out of the football season, that's not gonna be a whole lot of events where I think she's gonna have to be there the whole time. There'll be a few, probably boys basketball games or doubleheader games, with boys and girls. But I feel really good about having her in that position, and I don't think I could ask for a better person. So I'm happy she's willing to do it.
I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Anybody have any discussion?
I just have a question. I have no doubts that Alexis can do that because of all of the things that you said. My question is, it seems like logically that would fall in the athletic department and upon Chris, probably.
What do you mean? What would fall?
The concession stand.
It has in the past.
It has in the past, but that position was created to separate that out from the athletic.
Yeah,
Right?
I got that. It just seems like the logical place for it to be would be over there with the athletic department.
Are you saying because she's in this building rather than in the, like, is that what you're saying? I guess I'm confused as well.
Well, I don't know. No, not necessarily. It just seems to me that Chris should be doing it, or somebody in the athletic department versus somebody in the corporation office.
Well, I think that would be, that would go back to the discussion we had about it this summer, on whether or not we need a position for it. And I mean, it was decided by the board over
No,
the summer
with the
to add
stipend,
the
I mean,
position.
I wouldn't expect him to do that with the money that he's receiving now, or the person is receiving now. I'm sure there'd be a stipend to that.
I think the discussion about it was that we needed Jen at the time to be more available to do secretarial duties instead of stocking concession stands nonstop. So she found herself ordering and stocking concession stands and running stuff around more than doing some of the things that Ryan needed her to do at the time. And that's where that discussion started, was to try to separate that from the secretary's position.
Okay.
Now, whether or not it comes from the athletic department, I'm sure Ryan would like to have a third employee, but we gotta pull it from somewhere.
So
To keep those
we're gonna
duties.
pull Alexis from.
No, that's
that's
The
my
pos-
question.
The
is-
position was open to anyone in the
Corporation-wide.
corporation, and she offered to do it.
So
There were two other people, so it, she said yeah, or she said she was interested, and so I was planning on that, but I didn't immediately tell Melanie to remove her from the open positions list that she always sends out. I just forgot to do that. So she did send that out, so it was open for a couple more weeks after that. There were two other people that indicated interest of it, and they were also both school employees, like either I think one was a teacher and one was a para. So they would also have school duties during the day. I mean, it would, it was two other school employees. So there's always going to be if it's a school employee, they're always going to have other obligations during the school day to their main job, their full-time job. So that wasn't unique to Alexis. I mean, the other two people that were interested would have had the same conflict. They're also teachers or paras all day.
I think that it is a good discussion to have about, like, there's some little bit of reservation from the board having someone from the corporation office or in a director role, so to speak, having a role like that. I know, so it's a little bit odd, I guess, or maybe worrisome to the board that, especially someone that's in a new role and in a high level work position, taking on more responsibility. So
My concern is, will she be taking time during the school day to be doing ordering and that sort of thing when we should have her writing grants and working on curriculum and those things?
Personally, I feel that would be a question more for Dr.
Right.
Blaze, because
So-
I don't supervise her in that job.
So from what I have seen, as far as how this has gone the last few weeks, she will take time like her lunch and she calls Pepsi and she calls the other people and puts the orders in then. But she's working on the grants and doing all the other stuff most of the day. And then she'll run over right after school, or sometimes she's there before school, before 7:30 to take care of things at concession stands. So that's.
We usually talk in
she's
the
working
morning
out.
too, and just go over the night before, if anything's low, if she's taking care of something, if I'm taking care of something. Just kind of coordinate that in the morning.
We've worked to keep them separate.
The communication has been really good, and that's one thing I have liked. I mean, because I don't want her to feel like it's too big of a burden, you know? I mean, she's doing the job, and she's doing a good job with it, and I'm glad to have her. But I want her to know that I'm not expecting more of her all the time, you know? I want to make sure that the communication's good so it's not a burden on her. And we still do all of the event workers out of our athletic office. So finding the actual groups that work the concession stand, making the money boxes for it, we still do all of that. Chris does, because there's so many changes in that during the day. Like there's last minute things to fill, there's last minute groups to find, and we're the ones handling the money. So I wouldn't want that to be part of a concessions manager position, regardless of who it was, if it wasn't in our office. So it'd just be too many changes.
And that's a stipend position, that's not full-time, so like you would want somebody full-time managing that, cause then it's like, I get the emails, hey, is somebody back out tonight, can somebody come in?
Yeah. So that can't
That's a
be
full-time job.
that can't be somebody with a full-time job outside of the athletic office, because they wouldn't have time to fix those things when they come up.
I had questions as well, similar to, I think, I'll leave it up to Ryan and Dr. Blaze to manage through this, and then if it comes an issue, I think we have to trust Dr. Blaze to have that conversation with Alexis to say, hey, guess what, you're new, you're in your first year, this is your number one job, you can't live off the
It
stipend,
just
so.
seems to me that,
Yeah.
that the practicality of it should be somebody over at the junior, senior high school. Practicality lots of times gets me in situations. And you can quote me on that.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second?
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Passes unanimously. Alright, first reading of the employee handbook, are you covering this?
Apparently.
I hope so.
Yeah. So basically, we amended a pay schedule in there, there's a new pay schedule in there, and then we have added optional dental coverage for our staff, so we needed to get that put into the employee handbook. So very few changes in there, but we wanted to make sure we got that approved again.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Alright, we're gonna move on to the consent agenda, items, A through N. I know we do have one person that's gonna speak, is there anyone else that wanted to cover anyone in here? Yeah, anybody?
I don't know that we have anything we have to cover in there, so. I can talk about letter D also, the specialty substitute, what we would be using that for. So, when we look at our substitute rates, we have substitute teachers who come in and they are the teacher in that class because we could not find a teacher for that class. So we wanted to have an option to be able to pay them at a different rate because their responsibilities are a little different than if you walk in and somebody's already done the planning for you. So we wanted to make sure we had a rate for those kind of situations.
Go ahead.
My name is Melissa Bateman, not that none of you don't know who I am. But I honestly just wanted to touch on D as well. I wanted to thank Dr. Blaze for bringing this to the board and putting this on the agenda. in creating the specialty substitute category and pay. Only because it affects me personally. I have been subbing for 7 years, and the last 4 years I have been in a teacher's role, meaning I am the teacher doing all of the duties of a teacher, grading, planning, parent contacts, all of the things. I know 2 school board members, I've had their children in my classes, and doing the job of a teacher. Not getting paid teacher salary, which I shouldn't, but you've allotted for that teacher, for that money for a teacher. So you're saving substantially a lot of money. I brought this up to Dr. Baker, and tried to get compensated a little bit more, considering, there are a lot of, jobs that they cannot fill for the teachers. And I have been filling those, and he quickly shut me down. I had reached out to some board members, kind of asking for help as well, and bringing it to their attention that you can't fill these positions with teachers, and I am doing that. And I'll be honest, they shut me down. I feel like it's getting worse. We cannot get teachers to hire. So I wanted to thank you for creating this category. I do it for the kids. I love the kids. But I'll be honest, a part of the reason why, and I loved your mission statement, the other reason why I love doing it is because I have a great boss. That's the other reason why I love to come back, and I want to stay at Lakeland. Not just the kids, but like I said, Jason makes me feel like a human when I talk to him, and
That's good.
he's easy to talk to, and he's always supported me and been confident in me, and I have valued that and appreciated it. So I know most of the time people come and complain, but I just wanted to say thank you. This means a lot to me because I am doing all of the duties of a teacher, and just like our ag right now, we don't have a teacher. So you can't get them, so the fact that you took that initiative to do that, I greatly appreciate that.
Thank you, Mrs. Bateman.
You have to abstain from this one because something.
Well, she's not actually, is she officially filling that right yet? Do we know?
No.
Okay.
I just wanna make sure we're on that. Okay, alright.
Go ahead, Jason.
Item K, just want to clarify that Kat did leave us at the end of the year with plenty of time to fill that position. We just didn't get a resignation through. She's on the East Coast taking care of family, really wants to come back to us once that's done, but it's gonna take about a year to get back to us. But, so I wanted to make sure you guys knew that that wasn't somebody leaving us high and dry right now. She let us know by May 30th that she was not gonna be able to come back, and I 100% believe I dropped the ball on turning in a resignation. We got the position filled already.
Trying to
There's
pretend it wasn't true.
Yeah.
Then she didn't show up.
Yeah. I did want to point that out. I know sometimes when we see resignations on there during the year, that's not on her.
Yeah, they sting a little bit, so I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yep.
And it's always hard to get pairs, so we'll definitely,
We'll be here when she's ready.
That's what I told her. That's what I told her.
so. Alright, is there anything else? Do, we have a motion for the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
We got a motion and a second, all in favor, motion carries. Alright, we are at public comments. Persons wishing to make the board aware of suggestions, ideas, and or comments may address the board at this time. Comments which involve personnel or students must be discussed in private. Okay. Board member comments. Now's your time. Okay, alright, calendar review. October 11th. Wednesday, October 11th, right here. Same time, same place.
Be here.
It will be our official budget hearing as well that night.
So we will have a hearing prior to the meeting.
Yeah.
So,
Should be
for
short.
all of you that wanna hear lovely budget,
Again.
again,
That's exciting stuff, yeah.
It'll be much shorter next time.
yeah. Entertain a motion to adjourn. Got a
Second.
Second, motion a second, all in favor, motion carries. Thank you all for coming.